Bucko, mighty Bucko, hello and welcome. Welcome, you peaceful, freedom-loving people. Welcome. Now, sometimes we come across a video that we think, well, that's reasonably interesting. Maybe I should comment on that to some measure. Before I begin on it, when I was a little lad, I remember with my sister on holiday, walking along on the way to a river with sand, and barges would go up and down. This is overseas. And there were these rocks that you could climb up on, and I got up on these boulders and I stood there only as a little lad, and I'd shout down at my sister, "I'm the king of the castle and you're the dirty rascal." I suppose you may have had a similar experience when you were a little person, but it raises a good question, doesn't it? The king of the castle. And I've often thought to myself, with regard to the evil pyramid and this dark cabal that is influencing and doing so many things in our days that's taken our time and thoughts and impinged upon our life and our freedoms. And that is who is at the top of this cabal. I remember a conversation with Phil's brother Gaz, and he said, "I'd love to know who is at the top of this pyramid, as it were. Who's at the top?" And he finished it by saying, "I'm not even sure they're human, to be honest." Who's at the top? Well, we know ultimately when I look at things from the perspective, as you know, from Bible prophecy, and we see this global government come in, we see this dark cabal, we see somebody known as the man of sin, the Antichrist, the son of perdition, who will introduce his mark of the beast that you can't buy or sell. Now, amongst all freedom, truther, whatever you want to describe our tribe as, there's great variation of people. We agree on the basic fundamental principles that we can all stand together and go on a demo and meet and be so like-minded with one another. And then we differ in other areas. Now, I know there are some freedom people who would just emphasise the latest thing the governments are doing, the news, as it were, how we can understand it and resist and push back against this evil. But they stop short of seeing the bigger picture, the immensity of this group of bloodline, powerful, wealthy elites who, it would appear, are in some sort of communication, because they are at their very core and nature psychopathic, dark occultists. And they stop short of seeing this, that these people literally control the politics, the media, music and film, and more or less everything, medical stuff, all this stuff. And the orders come down. The higher up, the more you know, and the lower you go down, the least you know. But you're following obediently the orders. Now, people like myself knew nothing of this before 2020, but as I've gone on, I've come to this unbreakable conclusion that this overall pyramid exists, it's real, and it's mind-blowing. You see, I can understand to some extent some of our people who would think, well, I can't share this and that and the other because they'll think we're all crackerjack people. I can understand. It's a big overload to bring to a normie to try to explain the certain things that have been going on in the world, and then we share on this and on that and on the other. Well, it came to my attention that this particular video is called, and I'm going to try and put the link down below, right? It's called The Secret Covenant Mission Statement for a Prison Planet. That's The Secret Covenant Mission Statement for a Prison Planet. And basically, it's only about 7 minutes 54 seconds. And what this is like reading this mission statement of the Cabal. Now, in listening to it, first you've just got to play it through. Now, it's only for those who won't be overcome with depression, because this is pretty dark and heavy and horrible stuff to listen to. So I've played it through twice, and I'm just relaying my personal thoughts about what it is. Now, if there is such a pyramid of authority, ultimately Antichrist, when he appears, will sit at the top. And all these powerful elites will serve him and everyone. If people don't see that, they're not going to ask themselves questions like, well, how long have they been going, and who's involved, and what levels are there, and these sorts of questions. And what would they say? How do they talk? Well, we know, don't we, that they communicate through signs and symbols and colours. They talk through the numerology. The set days of, like, we're in, at this moment in time, October, around the 27th. And it will soon be coming up to that Feast of Deviltry, October the 31st. And people will be engaged, or at least some will, a lot will, in insanity and evil and darkness and madness. They love it seems. So this is how they communicate. But when they are actually meeting up, I mean, the highest levels, and they're in a secure environment where they know full well they're not being tapped or recorded or anything of that nature, what would they say to one another? And this thing, okay, whatever one feels about it, and I'll share my thoughts on it. I think first, if you want to play it, listen. Now, my thoughts are this. First question is, does this, in your opinion, Bucko, sound like how the Cabal would talk? And as I listen to it, it is. I think, yes, that does sound as though that could be them. Or it could be someone who has thought this through so carefully. You'd probably have to come from the freedom type of movement of someone who is putting it up either because they feel it should be stated and said, even though they've not said it, or they're having a bit of a laugh. Because there's a lot of oddballs. Let's be honest, you've met them and I've met them, and in the comments and people, there's some strange people in our midst, and there's some beautiful people in our midst. And it's true, isn't it? Now, so yes, it does sound as though it could sound like them. The next question is it fraudulent or genuine? And the answer to that is, my gut feeling would lean towards it is fraudulent. Why? I'd say because of such levels of secrecy. In the highest levels, this wouldn't get out. I don't believe it would get out. And the fact it's on YouTube with not too many views, probably, well, it's hard to say. You have a look, I don't think there's that many. Indicates to me this could be fraudulent, though it would portray the thinking of those high up. It's a communication of the cabal, sort of talking their things, as it were, and you can see some measure at the end they're in some sort of league with, covenant with fallen angelic beings. My gut feeling is it's fraudulent, but who, yeah, see what you think. As I say, this is how, in my mind, they probably would speak. Not to say the cabal couldn't put something out, knowing full well it wouldn't have many views. You know how they operate. They'd probably laugh putting it out. But no, I tend to think that it's not correct. So I'll leave that with you. Who's at the top of this pyramid? As I've said, when he comes and people think it's kicked off from 2020, when the Rona Bologna and all the nonsense lurgy kicked in, from 1984, 36 years to 2020. Is the Antichrist Obama? Some think he is. Is it King Charles? Some think it is. What do you think, Bucko? Not sure. Not sure on that one. But I will point something out. And forgive me if I've said this before on previous videos, but when you do numerous videos, you sometimes actually forget what you've actually said. So here we have a stamp of Queen Elizabeth with the crown. Here we have a stamp of King Charles, no crown. Now, why hasn't he got a crown? Well, some would say, oh, he don't like paper and it's all to do with the environment and I don't want to make paper with... I don't believe a word of that, do you? The only reason he's probably not got a crown is because he knows the one who is even higher than himself is in the midst. That in itself is speaking. The fierce king of the book of Daniel that will come. The king of the castle. But take hope, good will prevail over evil, and don't be in fear. I repeat, yea, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. If you listen to that, link down below, don't be in fear. Good prevails in the end. And it does, and it will, and it shall. So, be seeing you.